celebrate Passover with a Seder.
Not surprised.
It's amazing, right? And now that we're coming up to Shavuot, I was thinking about that statistic and basically thinking about how different that is. How few people really mark Shavuot.
So you don't think 90% of
I
Jewish
don't.
households celebrate Shavuot?
No, I don't.
You're probably
I
right.
don't.
You're probably right.
So the first question that we should ask, if we're comparing Shavuot and Pesach, maybe we should ask 4 questions.
We'll make Shavuot slightly more Pesach-like.
Yes.
Maybe it'll boost some interest in Shavuot.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think a lot of people ask this question. What's the difference between Shavuot and Simchat Torah? They're both celebrations of the Torah in some way.
So Simchat Torah, which falls at the end, to make it even more confusing, we already have Pesach in here. Simchat Torah, which falls the day after Sukkot is finished, celebrates our annual cycle of reading Torah. Mm-hmm. We finish the Torah with the end of Deuteronomy, and we therefore start over immediately with Genesis, with Breshit. So it celebrates our annual cycle of reading the entirety of Torah, whereas Shavuot celebrates a biblical, historical giving of Torah. So it's taught that we received the Torah from Sinai, the 10 Commandments, which really represent all of Torah, from Moses, from God, on the day of Shavuot. And that's what we're celebrating, is the gift of Torah rather than our reading of Torah.
The cycle, right. So the second question is, how do we mark Shavuot? What are the distinct practices? And one that I find...
Other than 4 questions, you mean?
Right,
okay.
Which we just made up. So one of the ways that I find very interesting is the Tikkun Leil Shavuot,
mm-hmm.
which is a practice that that comes from the Kabbalists of Sfat, and it involves staying up learning Torah.
Right.
For that whole night. So you might go to services, and then here, for example, in Brookline, we are part of a consortium of synagogues and
mm-hmm.
various other congregations that will be sponsoring a tikkun from 8 in the evening till 4:30 in the morning. There are millions of choices for learning, different types, whether it's text or music, dance. It'll be so much fun. So this is a plug for the tikkun,
okay.
which is something really special that we do on Shavuot.
So since we celebrate the gift of Torah on Shavuot, one of the main ways we observe is to spend
Engage
the entire evening of learning Torah.
Right.
What do we eat on Shavuot?
We dairy, and some people enjoy eating blintzes
mm-hmm.
or cheesecake, and there's so many different reasons why that is the case. The one that I'm most familiar with,
mm-hmm.
although I think there are like 6 or 7 reasons that people will offer, is that we did not know about the laws of kashrut. Right, when the Torah was given,
right.
We were just learning about
later.
the laws
mm-hmm.
of kashrut. So we had pots and pans that were not kosher.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the easiest thing, most readily available to prepare? You can't go and kosher your pots and slaughter animals. Besides, it was Shabbat when we received Torah, so we couldn't have been preparing food. So we end up with dairy. So that's one of the reasons behind why we eat dairy. Not that I'm complaining, because I think blintzes and cheesecake is wonderful.
Sounds pretty good. It's part of our very healthy canon of Jewish foods. If Shavuot is about the gift of Torah, we can't read the entire Torah on Shavuot. So what's the special book that we read for Shavuot?
Right. So we read from Torah, we read the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm.
And that as a representation of receiving Torah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we read the very beautiful book of Ruth, who is the model of the person who chooses Torah. She is the convert, the one who takes it upon herself by choice to receive Torah, to become a Jew. And the final question is the way in which Reform communities have celebrated Shavuot with a confirmation service and how that came about.
Exactly. Well, so for our Erev Shavuot service on Tuesday night, we will not just celebrate the gift of Torah as a community, but we will celebrate 9 of our 10th graders becoming confirmed. It was started probably over 100 years ago when early Reform communities didn't have bar and bat mitzvah, so they did what their Christian neighbors did and had confirmation kind of instead. But it's become such a lovely tradition and a way for our kids to study together as a group, and it's a little bit more of a communal celebration than the individual focus of one child becoming bar bat mitzvah. So even once we added bar and bat mitzvah back into our Reform tradition, and all of our kids become bar and bat mitzvah, but then a few years later, to, as a class, become confirmed and to really mark their deeper study of Torah and further commitment to the Jewish community when they're able to have a greater depth of understanding and greater level of participation. It's really lovely to celebrate with them on this evening of receiving Torah as well.
And it's important to mention that the confirmation service is not just for the families, it's a service for the entire community.
Absolutely.
That happens in the context of our celebration of Shavuot. It's part of how we celebrate Shavuot. So we want to invite all of you to join us. It should be a beautiful service on Tuesday. And if you have still more energy to celebrate, you can walk over to KI and continue learning as part of the Tikkun Leil Shavuot, learning until 4:30 in the morning if you have energy.
We would love to see you on Tuesday evening, May 14th, as we celebrate as a community the gift of Torah, and we will celebrate our confirmation students. We will also celebrate Gila Yudowitz and what she's given to our community. You can then eat some cheesecake and some blintzes before heading over to KI for the Tikkun Leil Shavuot to study all night long, but make sure you come on back in the morning for our Shavuot morning services, including Yizkor, where we get to remember, as we do on our festivals, those whose memories we honor year after year. I hope you have a wonderful Shavuot and celebration. Please join us. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.